Cracker Barrel just did what very few brands have the guts to do. They tapped out. They pulled the plug on their new rebrand. And listen, right, this wasn't just some social media drama. This was a full-on revolt. A classic Americana brand tried to strip away its soul, and the people were not having it. So today, I'm breaking down 3 big lessons we can all learn from Cracker Barrel's failed rebrand. Lessons that every designer, every marketer, and honestly, every brand executive should be paying attention to right now. But before we get into it, I'm Ziggy the designer. I'm a graphic designer who's worked alongside some of the world's most recognizable brands, including United Airlines, Target, and even Stanford University. If you like the conversations we're having here on this channel, be sure to support the show by giving this episode a like, leaving a comment, and of course, by subscribing. Let's get into it. Design is all around us, we might as well talk about it. All right, lesson 1, people care about design. So let's get this straight, right? And I'm sure designers out there, you heard this a lot when you were going to design school. People will tell you that design is a fluff major in college, right? They'll tell you that it's not serious. They'll say that it's a field that you can't get a job in. And yet, the second Cracker Barrel rolled out that lifeless, flat, soulless logo, suddenly design was the most important thing to everybody, right? Suddenly, everybody cared about design. Customers cared, designers cared, even people like myself who haven't set foot in a Cracker Barrel. We cared. Why? Because design is how people feel the brand. The old logo, right? That wasn't just some dude sitting next to a barrel. It was a story, right? It was a roadside memory. It was nostalgia in a single image. And when you take that away, people feel it. And this is the same lesson we saw back in 2009 with Tropicana, right? Remember that. They took the orange with a straw image and they replaced it with a simple glass of orange juice, right? Customers revolted. Sales dropped dramatically. Why? Because they erased a design that meant something to people. Cracker Barrel just lived through the exact same thing. They say that, history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme, and we're seeing that with design history right now. And that leads to lesson 2, right? Never alienate your core fans. This is branding 101, right? Your core fans, your lifers, your loyalists, your brand defenders, those are the people you simply cannot afford to lose. Cracker Barrel is not some sleek new restaurant trying to pull in Gen Z brunch crowds, right? As a Gen Z myself, I promise you, we have our places where we go out for brunch, and Cracker Barrel is most definitely not on our list. Cracker Barrel, it's a place people associate with road trips, with family traditions, mornings with grandma and grandpa. And yes, they associate it with that old-timey logo. When you strip all of that away, you're not just, cleaning up your brand, so to speak, right? You're also telling your biggest fans that you don't value their story anymore. And that never goes well. Again, think about Tropicana. Alienated their buyers, had to backpedal. Think about Gap in 2010, right? They rolled out that simplified Helvetica logo. The internet exploded, and within a week, they were back to the logo that we all know and love. Branding isn't about gaining new fans. It's about respecting the fans who already put you on the map. Cracker Barrel forgot that, and they're paying for it. Literally, they're paying for it. They paid a ton of money for that failed rebrand, and now they have to roll it back. They're not getting a refund on that. And speaking of refunds, that leads us into our third and final lesson. Rebranding is a business decision, not just a design decision. And this is probably the most important lesson here. A rebrand is not just a new logo. It's not just new packaging. A rebrand is a statement about the future of your company. Look at Lazy Boy this year, right? For decades, They were the butt of the joke, right? Your dad's recliner, clunky and outdated. But when they rebranded, they didn't just change their logo. They changed their story from dad chair to stylish modern furniture lifestyle brand. Suddenly, right, the logo makes sense. The narrative clicks and people are buying in. This is probably the best rebrand of 2025. Now compare that to Walmart's so-called rebrand this year, right? They didn't change their story. They didn't change their business. They just slapped a new coat of paint on an old wall, and the result was forgettable, pointless. No one cared or even noticed that it happened. Cracker Barrel falls into this second camp with Walmart, right? They didn't change their narrative. They didn't change their menu or their retail goals. They just swapped a logo. And without a story behind it, the whole thing absolutely caved in on itself. Because people aren't buying a logo, right? They're buying a brand story. So that's what we can learn from Cracker Barrel's failed rebrand here. So that one, people care about design. Two, never alienate your core fans. And three, rebranding is a business move, not just a design move. But how do you feel about Cracker Barrel's failed rebrand here? Are there any other lessons that we can learn from it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. That's all I have for you. Be sure to support the show by giving this episode a like, subscribing, and of course by sharing this one out. I've been Ziggy the Designer. If there are two things you need to know about me, it's that one, I love design. And two, I'm very opinionated. I'll talk with y'all later. Bye-bye.